So Nintendo has gotten even worse and has just patented the very concept of a creature collector, creature battler game, and it's insane that they got away with. Because previously, all the other patents that they have filed targeted, like in a big way, creature collector, creature battler games. But you could still theoretically make a creature collector, a creature battler game without infringing upon these mechanics. I think the idea of being able to patent a mechanic in general is insane, but you could still make a game within the genre without infringing upon these patents. So the genre itself was safe but limited. But now they have just gotten a patent, and not just a patent, but a US patent, because previously, a lot of the U.S. patents got sent back or denied, or they had to change stuff. But in this case, they got this patent in the U.S. is for creature collector games. I'm going to go over that real quick. But one of the big things that is the issue here, too, is that this created a situation. Now that this exists, now that this patent exists and is owned by Nintendo in the US, it created a situation where even if Pocket Pair wins the lawsuit in Japan, Nintendo can still go and try to sue them again in the United States. And like, yes, Pocket Pair is a Japanese-based company, but if they get sued in the United States, they could have sanctions put on them in the United States. They could be targeting the United States, and a big part of their audience is in the United States. And there can still be like issues levied upon them, like injunctions levied upon them, money ordered to be paid, and the Japanese government and the U.S. government work together, and then Japanese government says, okay, well, you lost this lawsuit, you got to pay him, kind of thing. So it could still cause issues and still hurt the game, and it is insane that they got it. No, the article I'm reading that's discussing it, and this article is like fairly new, I think it was, yesterday, is theorizing that one of the reasons they are able to get these patents, and one of the reasons why it's really easy for Nintendo and other patent troll companies to kind of get these patents for things that have existed in prior art, is effectively the fact that no one else has bothered to patent these mechanics because everyone else has a little bit of fucking integrity and isn't so sad and pathetic that they have to beat competition, not by producing a better game, but by suing the competition. And essentially, since these other companies have not, these other games have not filed patents, or there's not patents for these other game mechanics, it's hard for the people at the U.S. Patent Office and at these other patent offices of other countries to do the searches for prior art that would justify them denying the patents. So they basically just go through their patent system and their little registry of patents and say, oh, are there any patents for something that's similar for this? No? Cool. Then I'm going to grant this patent, which means in order for the patent to be lost, there has to be some sort of legal action taken that would trigger them to be like, oh yeah, no, this is prior art that has already existed. They have no right to this patent, but that means it gives like shitty companies like Nintendo the ability to file a frivolous lawsuit, what I'm going to go ahead and call a frivolous lawsuit, and say, you have to fight us now, which means you have to hire a legal team and spend money to fight us on this, despite the fact that we shouldn't have the right to do this to begin with. Now, the good thing is, the United States has a concept of summary judgment. So, unlike in Japan, Japan does not have summary judgment. In the United States, if they tried to sue Pocket Pair can come forward and say, look at all this evidence of prior art for this thing that they are trying to patent, and this thing that they are suing us over, and Mr. Judgeman, please rule that this is an invalid lawsuit, that this is not legal, this is not okay. And it would wrap it up pretty quickly. They wouldn't have to go through the whole lawsuit process, but they would still have to spend time and money and effort to do that. And that is ridiculous. But I'm going to go over what they have patented. This is U.S. Patent 124033397. And this patent is effectively the very concept of a creature catcher game. So, the patent is for a non-transitory computer-readable storage medium having stored there in a game program, the game program causing a processor of information processing apparatus to execute. I hate the fact that they're using wording like this, because in a lot of previous game mechanic patents that Nintendo and other companies have filed, like a decade ago or more than a decade ago, it's not as like tech jargony. It's not as confusing. It's very simple to read and very simple to understand what they're talking about. And I still postulate that the reason they're using this technical jargon is to make it more confusing. Make it more confusing for the people that are reading it, and make it more confusing for the people at the U.S. Patent Office that are having to interpret what this means. Because all the art associated with it, if you go into the actual patent, and I'll link that below, if you go into the actual patent, like, all the first examples of it are just showing the Nintendo Switch and blueprints for the Nintendo Switch and stuff like that at first. So I think they're trying to get these patent clerks to think, oh, this is just for the Nintendo Switch. I know what the Nintendo Switch is. I know that Nintendo owns it. So yeah, we're going to grant this patent kind of thing. I think they're just trying to make it more confusing for the purposes of confusing the people that control whether or not they can get it. Okay, so practice execute performing control of moving a player character on a field in a virtual space based on a movement operation input, performing control of causing a sub character to appear on the field based on a first operation input. So right now, this is a sub character. This is not me. I do not directly control this character. It is a sub character. That's what it's referencing. I'm performing an action and causing this character to appear. And when an enemy character is placed at a location where the sub-character is caused to appear, controlling a battle between the sub-character and the enemy character by a first mode in which the battle proceeds based on an operation input. But I pressed an input. He's appeared. Now there's a battle occurring. Oh no, he did that battle. So that's what that section is. And when the enemy character is not placed at the location where the sub-character is caused to appear, starting automatic control of automatically moving the sub-character that has appeared. So basically automatically controlling it. And performing control of moving the sub-character in a predetermined direction on the field based on a second operation input, and when the enemy character is placed at a location of a designation, controlling a battle between the sub-character and the enemy character by second mode in which the battle automatically proceeds. So the fact that I'm walking in a direction causes him to walk in a direction, so he's kind of following me or walking around with me, and the fact that if I walk in the direction of an enemy, as you just saw, he's going to pick a fight. So the core concept of creature capture games, especially 3D creature capture games, and this is kind of more specifically oriented towards 3D creature capture games, but they applied for this patent after PALWORLD's trailer announced, which means prior art. In both the US and Japanese, the trailer counts as prior art because it was publicly displayed. Even though the product wasn't readily available, it was publicly displayed. So for patent purposes, it counts as prior art. And two, that concept has existed before PALWORLD. That concept has been in Ark Survival Evolved for a number of years with their cryospheres. That concept is kind of in World of Warcraft. One, you look at the hunter pets and the fact that you can choose to summon the hunter pet or not summon the hunter pet. And it would, if you walk towards someone, or if you take an operation input with, like, I can give the attack as a hunter in World of Warcraft, you can give a specific command to your pet to just go kill that thing over there. That's been existent since World of Warcraft has existed with the hunter, which is like 2006, I think. When did World of Warcraft come out? Oh my god, I'm really wrong. November 23rd of 2004. That concept has existed of having a creature character, a sub-character to your character that you can summon into the field, and then that creature you can command to go attack things. Or if you walk towards something that's hostile, it will attack that thing. Or if something attacks you, it will respond. That has existed since 2004 with that, and I'm pretty sure other MMORPGs before World of Warcraft had similar things. And Dragon Quest is a creature capture game. And the reason I'm using World of Warcraft as the best example here is because a lot of this kind of gives the idea of it happening in a 3D space. So some of these games that are like 2D, or even the original Pokemon games where you didn't summon your pet in the space with you. I mean, I think one of them you did. But like in a lot of the other Pokemon games where you didn't summon this pet in a space with you, you went into the grass, or you made eye contact with another trainer, and then that engaged in the fight, and then it came out and that was a separate zone. That doesn't necessarily apply to this. The first thing that Pokemon had, the first thing that Nintendo had that applies to this patent is Legends of Arceus, because of the fact that it kind of implies the concept of a 3D space. So all the 2D games don't really count as much, but the 3D games do. So Legends of Arceus is the first one that they had. But you know what released before Legends of Arceus released? PALWORLD's trailer. You know what's well outside the frame for prior art for a patent, which in Japan is 6 months, 180 days? Legends of Arceus. They just got this patent. Let me see when they applied for it. Let me look real quick if I can figure out when they applied for it. They filed for this patent in March 1st of 2023. They filed for this patent in March 1st of 2023. Legends of Arceus came out on January 28th of 2022. America, the US, has a 1-year prior art statute of limitations. Japan has a 6-month. Now, this was filed in the US, so we're going to use US law for this. This is still outside of the statute of limitations for when they should have been able to file this patent, because the prior art was over a year old. The fact that they keep getting away with this is insane. The fact that these people are so incapable of coming up with the idea, or even postulating the idea of competition being good, and just, hey, maybe we should make a better game because people aren't liking our games as much as they're liking these things that are doing something kind of similar to us, is insane. The fact that these people know that they are effectively breaking the law, that they are abusing the patent system, that they are misrepresenting the patents that they're filing because they know that this prior art existed. That at the very least, they know that Legends of Art, they could pretend they didn't know about all the other games. They can pretend that they did not know about every other game that is being used, that has this mechanic in it, that has this sort of thing that would be considered prior art. They can lie and say, oh, I didn't know that, that's not my company. They know Legends of Arceus existed, and Legends of Arceus came out over a year, 14 months before they filed for this patent, which means it is outside of the 1-year statutory limitations. And if they had a trailer for Legends of Arceus that came out before Legends of Arceus came out and demonstrated those mechanics, that counts as prior art. So they have no legal framework to do this, but they are doing it because they know they can get away with it, and they know there aren't going to be consequences for them, and they're hoping to bully indie studios and small-time game studios by saying, hey, I know that you'd probably win this court case, but you're still going to have to fight it. You're still going to have to fight it, and that's going to cost you money. And then when you try to get damages back from the amount of money we cost you, we're going to fight that even harder, and you're not going to get it. It's at a point where I think this should be criminal. I try to be a lot more structured and nuanced in my videos. I try to explain things unemotionally and logically. And I think I did that for part of this. But it's getting to the point where this sort of behavior is making me angry. Because it is hurting small creators. It is hurting the industry. It is hurting indie studios. And it's not being done for any reason other than greed. And I legitimately believe that at this point, because of how knowingly it's being done, and how there's no way in hell that the people at Nintendo don't realize that they are breaking the law when they are doing this, and it might be a civil thing, I think they should be criminally prosecuted. I legitimately believe the CEO of Nintendo and of Nintendo of America should be jailed. They should be in prison right now. They should, the legal team should be disbarred for filing these things and for filing these lawsuits. Whoever's handling all of this should face some actual consequences, rather than it just being like, hey, they eventually lost the lawsuit, but now they did untold amounts of damage to the gaming industry. It's insane. And with that, it's been a while since I brought this up. I do have a Change.org petition. Unfortunately, Change.org doesn't do much, but hey, it's at least something that is stop the abuse and misuse of patent law by video game developers or by game developers or something like that. It'll be linked below. It's been a while since I plugged it. It'll be linked below. But that's all I have to say about this. But with that, please leave a like, leave a comment, help this video do better. Every bit of engagement helps. If you have access to the hype button down below, please hype this video. I want to see how much hyping helps. And if you want to help the channel, consider signing up for a membership. The membership stuff is going to be down there. Every dollar from the membership will go straight to my editor until it reaches a point that I can afford to hire him on full time, which will allow me to put out a lot more content a lot faster. I cannot explain how frustrated I am by this. I know it's stupid, and I know it has nothing to do with me, but it's indicative of the way that the world is working and what's going on with the world, and that's why it upsets me so much. But I'm going to leave this here. Thank you.